I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please? Just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man. No, you won the fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the hipster hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing. Going to be talking Manny Pacquiao, Thurman, breaking that down. Thurman Whyte, Rivas Lopez versus Nakatani. All of the weekend's action going to be rolled into this show. We're going to break it down, give our review of it, our post-fight show. Call in yourselves, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, call in on Skype, Mixed Combat Radio, to give your thoughts. Of course, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, leave a comment down below with your thoughts if you're not going to call in. But also, of course, joined on these daytime shows over here in the U.S., nighttime shows in the U.K., the one and only. We missed you, Rob. I'll be honest, we missed you this weekend. Just having Fu was weird. Like, it's Fu, like, he's cool, but he's not you, Rob. The one and only Mr. Robbie Hearn's second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie, finally got to have his interview with his cousin. God, it only took him too long. Like, what, years? Like, what, 3 years of you hustling in the industry to finally get the interview with cousin Eddie? But we're here. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good to have everybody in the chat. Fern, shout out to you, Aaron, Gary, obviously, Banana, Rama, and obviously Mixed Combat Radio. That's good.
That's me.
But yeah, good to be back. Good load of fights this weekend. So let's talk about it. And any news, I'm sure there'll be something crop up, but there's a few little things, news and notes to mention at the end, I guess. But
do we? I don't think we do.
Well, I do. I'll do it, and then.
You didn't send me stuff?
It wasn't necessarily stuff that's like.
Oh, just stuff that you can brief mention. Okay.
Yeah, brief mentions.
On top of that, Santiago is going to call in later, obviously, because Santiago always calls in. But on top of that, good friend of the show, Patrick Connor, who's one of the few, I would say, boxing historians out there, gave his top 20 all-time list. And, of course, Pacquiao wasn't on it, and that has led to a bunch of great conversations over on Boxing Twitter. And Santiago's going to call in, and we're going to give our thoughts on that top 20 list as well. So we're going to get into whether or not Pacquiao is top 20 all-time, top 5 all-time, the best all-time TBE later on in the show after we dissect and break down all of the fights, just letting everyone know. On top of that, go vote right now. And this gives you time to go vote in our community sort of tab on our YouTube page. Where do you rank Manny Pacquiao all time? We have a poll up there. Go vote. Go do your democratic civic duty of MCR. But digressing, let's get to Pacquiao Thurman, which obviously was the marquee fight of the weekend, and maybe it's going to be up there. Rob might disagree on this, but the marquee fight of the year thus far, in my opinion. It seems like it. Though there is a close number 2, and I know what it is. It's Joshua Ruiz, but and honestly, in terms of pure metrics, maybe Canelo Jacobs is actually bigger than Joshua Ruiz, but it didn't have the after viral effect that AJ Ruiz had, right? For example. So digressing from that, Pacquiao Thurman, probably the biggest fight of the year, arguably the biggest fight of the year. It didn't deliver Yeah, I did. It was awesome. I watched it again, scored it again, and I'll give my score in a second. It was just as entertaining the first time, to be honest. And on top of that, it's a really good fight when it's just like blowing by. Like the rounds are just flowing. Like there's no time where you're looking at your watch. You're getting tired looking at your phone. Like I just was watching it, and like 36 minutes went by, and the fight was over, and it was awesome, and I was entertained by it again. So that sort of shows how good of a fight it was. It may not be fight of the year, but it's definitely going to be up there in at least the conversation. I think when we hit December, it would be in the top 10, 15 probably by that time. Pacquiao looked fantastic. I scored it for Thurman upon second watch. Even the first watch, I scored it even more so for Thurman. On the second watch, I scored it 114, 113 for Keith Thurman, though there's 4 key rounds that I view as swing rounds, which you could score either way. And I just so happened to score 3 of those 4 to Keith Thurman, and that swung it over to a 7-5 score with obviously the 10-8 round, so it's 114, 113. But I have zero issue with Manny Pacquiao winning. On top of that, even upon second watch, I was like, man, how do I have it for Thurman? It doesn't feel right. Like, I'm watching the fight, and to use the Max Kellerman line, the story of the fight is clearly Pacquiao's looking great, and Thurman's having to react, having to adapt, having to sort of adjust to everything Pacquiao's doing. And on top of that, it was quite clear that one guy's shots were having a more desired effect. Even though I was scoring more rounds for Thurman, those 2 points cannot be sort of taken away from the fight, even if you score it for Thurman, like I did. Pacquiao, I'm not going to say look like the Pacquiao of old, but he kind of did. Like, this was vintage Pacquiao in a way at 40 years old. The last great fight that's even close to this for a guy of this age would be like Hopkins versus Pascal, something of that nature. This was just a fantastic showing from Manny Pacquiao. On top of that, for Keith Thurman, again, depending how you score those 4 swing rounds, because if you score all those rounds that I scored for Thurman that are swing rounds, this narrative doesn't hold true as much. But Thurman's second sort of half performance of the fight was fantastic. I thought his defense sort of came together. He was able to slip shots a little bit more efficiently. And on top of that, his shots were starting to land more. His body work was starting to add up. He was just overall more effective in the second half of the fight. Though, again, if you score all those swing rounds for Manny Pacquiao, the narrative more probably closely looks like Thurman in rounds and in spots was being effective, but was never really able to string together long periods of effectiveness and success within the fight. And that's probably what led him to lose this fight, is that he was never able to really string together 3, 4, 5 rounds together and win them all. Pacquiao did that honestly in the first half of this fight. Though 1 round you could give to Thurman, maybe 2 in the first 6. You could give all 6 rounds to Manny Pacquiao. And on top of that, you have the 10-8 round. So Thurman doesn't have that in the second half as much as Pacquiao had in the first half. Rob, your thoughts on sort of the in-ring action from Pacquiao and Thurman?
Yeah, I thought it was a good fight. It felt big. I guess we'll wait on numbers, but yeah, it felt big. And yeah, Manny Pacquiao rolling back the years, really. I think for me, the knockdown made the difference. I think that's for me, like Pacquiao by a round, maybe 2. I could see people like a draw, things like that. But I think for me, the knockdown made the difference. And it just really, I don't know, I want to see a real good, like a different camera angle on it, because I've seen it a few times. And I think Manny pumps out like the double jab, and he goes downstairs to the body with a straight left hand. And then Thurman's got his hands down. And the hook, I don't think it wasn't like really like cleaned him up, like full swing. It was enough like off balance. And I want to just personally, I want to see like a different shot where maybe we see the feet, because to me it didn't look like a huge crisp, shake you to your boots kind of shot. It just, whether there was Manny was maybe stood on his foot, or there was a tangle, or maybe Thurman's footwork wasn't quite there. He was like backing out with his hands down, got clipped, but it didn't seem like a real, like a heavy shot. Thurman seemed to jump up okay and, I don't know, finish out the round kind of comfortably. I think, but yeah, and I know going into it, people were like, oh, is Thurman's heart still in it? Is he still in love with boxing? I think he showed he's still like, it's still there. The fire still burns because he dug deep. There was a body shot. I forgot what round it was, and had he took a knee, I think he knew the fight was done. Like there was, it was definitely getting away from him then, and he stayed up.
Round 10. Round 10 was the body shot.
That was a really good body shot, and many a guy would have taken a knee on that one. But I think he felt like, I can't, because this fight's close. At this point, and I think he showed some sort of champion. He's a champion, and I think that fire is still there for the sport. I think he looked like he obviously trained really hard for it, and put the work in. And so, shout out, really good fight. I know some people think I'm here to hate on the American stuff, but no, it was a really good fight. But I just think the knockdown was the difference, like Manny by a round or a point. I think that was the difference for me.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. I think that Manny Pacquiao at most was the more damaging guy in the ring, right? Like at most, he was a guy that maybe was like losing rounds at times, but especially in the second half. But he was still damaging the opponent far more than Keith Thurman was. Keith Thurman really, his punches had no desired effect on Manny Pacquiao, except for maybe a little bit in round, I think it was like 11 or so. He hit him with the right hand a couple times, and Pacquiao backed up, but never wobbled him, never really hurt him. It was quite impressive to see Pacquiao sort of take on a young, undefeated champion like Keith Thurman and do what he did. A lot of people now are talking about him because of beating Thurman, now surpassing Floyd Mayweather sort of in his generation. And I can see the argument. Like, Mayweather never really did this. How many times were people asking for Mayweather to fight Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Earl Spence? Those were fights that were all talked about at some point in time for Floyd Mayweather from the fans. And Mayweather never paid any mind for them, right? Like,
Sure.
Yeah. And I think I can see why people now are viewing, Pacquiao has now surpassed what Mayweather has done in terms of his total career. I'm not sure if I 100% am on board with that argument, but I can see why they have that argument. I am almost positive now we're going to get a Mayweather-Pacquiao too, so we're going to find out who's better now. So hopefully it doesn't matter. Hopefully we don't have to have this argument by the end of May 2020? Is that what we're thinking here, Rob? Do we get Pacquiao Mayweather 2 in May?
I hope not, but maybe.
Why?
Huh?
Why? You don't want it?
No, just let him. He's retired. I'm done watching Floyd Mayweather fight. He's 42 or whatever he is. I don't know. I don't think. I can't remember where I heard this, but I agreed with it. Maybe it was the Pugmire or was it? Oh no, I think it was Mannix and Keith Idec, and Idec mentioned that for Conor McGregor, he didn't train because he didn't have to. For Nasakawa or whatever his name was, he just came in huge and bullied. But the full rigors of a camp, I think maybe Manny looked too good for this to happen. Now, I think Mayweather watching on from ringside, which, by the way, I've seen people like, what was the point of having him there if he wasn't if they weren't going to kind of ask the question or go to him and do something with him being there. But he was actually Mayweather Promotions was like the promoter of one of the events. I led Ella was all over the Mayweather Promotions were Pacquiao was just won the world title, and there's other titles out there. Although I don't know if we're going to get to it, but it doesn't look like. Say again.
I'm there. Sorry. Don't worry about it.
Hello.
I'm here. Rob.
I don't know what's going on.
Rob, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Yes, I can.
Yeah, I know.
I can hear.
You can't see me, but you can hear me.
Now, yeah, but it went completely silent for a while.
Don't worry about it. I'm back.
Okay, good. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but Manny Pacquiao's team kind of suggested that Spence go and do something. What have you done? So
yeah, let's talk about that. I don't have the tweet up. I apologize. I forget who posted it, but they were talking to Sean Gibbons, obviously the manager of Manny Pacquiao, and he said basically to the effect, paraphrasing, but basically to the effect.
You read it?
Yeah.
It said, at Manny Pacquiao's right-hand man, Knucklehead Sean, which is Sean Gibbons, isn't keen on a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Quotes, what has Errol Spence done? So he's a great fighter. Go fight Terence Crawford. And says that Pacquiao has already fought great fights before and has nothing to prove. So, yeah.
I mean, are we surprised? I mean, Pacquiao had a really tough fight with Thurman. Even though most people thought he won, he did have a tough fight with Thurman that cannot be disputed. Spence is a different animal than Thurman in 2019. I'm not surprised.
And let's not forget when Manny beat Broner, he put out a poll, who should I fight next? And Spence wasn't on it. And now it's, wow, Spence hasn't done anything. Go and do something. Go fight Crawford. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's how it looks. And I guess PBC's plan for Spence was to get this Pacquiao fight in before a Crawford fight to give him, that boost in star power and prove he's like, the true A side and get the better end of the deal. And you've got to come to us. We're not going to you, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know what will be next for. I'm telling you, if there's enough money still out there and they offer it and wave it at Pacquiao, I can still see the Amir Khan fight happening in Jeddah or wherever in Saudi Arabia.
We could get the Amir Khan fight still. That is signed, right?
According to somebody who told Amir, who then told the world, it's done, or there's a deal, or there's I don't know, but I think if the money's there, I think Pacquiao would take it, no problem.
This might sound weird, but do we even really want Spence Pacquiao? Like, should we be pushing for that fight in a way? Or
is the best versus the best, don't we?
Yeah, but the best versus the best isn't necessarily Pacquiao versus Spence. It's Spence versus Crawford, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. But, we want to see the best fights, champions fighting champions. So we should want it. I don't know if people do, but I wouldn't mind it. It just, I don't know. There's something like some kind of sort of, I don't know, boxing, like, I don't know. Seen a whole lot of and I know they call like Pactards and stuff like that and all this stuff. But there seems to be like a lot of love for Pacquiao, and I don't know whether they would feel like, let's not let Spence come along and spoil it. And there's like this kind of boxing love story going on with Pacquiao winning this return at 40 years old and things like that. And it's like, do we want Spence to kind of mess that up? Because this has got some legs. Let's keep him hot while he's hot. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. Just find out who is the actual. Because a lot of people feel Spence is the guy at 147. Yes. Or, there's a lot, I guess, in the Crawford camp. But obviously people can sit and wait and wonder as far as finding out between those two. But now Pacquiao, I know Thurman's off a long layoff and he didn't look good against Lopez. But, I mean, interesting stat has come out from like the punch stats. Apparently Thurman has landed more punches on Manny Pacquiao than Manny Pacquiao's last 43 opponents. So don't know what that kind of says. He's still lost, but I think that maybe gives it the impression that Thurman gave a real good effort and just came up short. But and interestingly, Broner saying that Thurman got cooked. I've seen many people saying, "Well, if Thurman got cooked, what did you get?"
Yo, we're definitely
getting
we are definitely getting Thurman versus Broner next.
Definitely,
like 100%. After Broner gets his tune-up against Ivan Redkach, we're gonna get Thurman versus Broner on Fox main event. Sorry, Showtime. Though actually, that would be interesting because wait, is the Redkach fight Fox? That's FS1, isn't it, or Fox? What is that?
Broner Redkach? I don't know. Was there a broadcaster giving out with the information?
No, but I'm curious because usually Broner's more of a Showtime guy, right? So
been second to Wilder for numbers, right?
Yeah, so I'm curious if Showtime's able to grab a Thurman Broner fight, which would do good numbers for Showtime, or if Fox is able to get that. Just curious of who out of the PBC network is able to win that battle, because from what we know now, they bid on them. That's what it sounds like, right? What was that? Tim Smith, right? Didn't Tim Smith sort of allude to that on the PBC podcast? And sort of take it back a little bit, or was it Chris Mannix? Who did that?
What said? It's like a bidding process.
Yeah,
so, it was Tim Smith, and then he kind of went, but we kind of share them out.
Yeah. Okay. So they bid them. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see a bidding war between Fox and Showtime that we never hear about, but that's there under the surface for Thurman Broner, because Showtime's going to go hard for that one because they've built up both those guys into massive stars. Ooh, can't wait. But digressing from that point, because I do think that's a great tune-up fight for Thurman, and plus it's a big fight in a way. Everyone would want to watch it. The press conferences are going to be pretty entertaining, right? Yeah. So I'm all in favor of that fight. Pacquiao Mayweather, I'm all in favor of that rematch. I know you aren't. I'm 100% in favor of that. If it somehow, because of that, leads to after Spence beats Porter, because we all think Spence beats Porter, and Crawford takes care of his mandatory, we get Crawford-Spence 2020 first quarter, first half. That's a beautiful world we can live in. And you know what, Rob? As someone that you've been telling for a long time now to be a little more optimistic, I'm going to be optimistic and live in that world. I
don't like it.
Oh, I love that. That's good for boxing right there. If we get Spence Crawford and Mayweather Pacquiao too.
I meant I don't like optimistic Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's making me feel a little bit sick.
No,
it's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah, and like you say, Thurman Broner would be just mental kind of build up. What did he say? What else did Broner say? Oh, you didn't see me having to get up off the canvas against Manny Pacquiao. To which I saw so many people saying, yeah, and we didn't see you throw a punch either.
On top of that, he alluded to the fact that Thurman was gambling in Vegas or something before the fight, and it was like, Broner. Yeah, okay, pot, meat kettle.
Thank you, Broner, my financial advisor. Fuck me.
Again, we're going to talk about Pacquiao's sort of legacy later on with Santiago, because Santiago knows, let's be honest, more about boxing history than me and Rob combined. And what? You're going to really scoff at that, Rob?
I was just putting it in a face.
Well, let's be honest. And I'll be honest, too. When you saw that list from Patrick Connor, how many of those names did you not know?
Did I not know?
Yeah.
That's the longer version of answering the question.
Because a lot of the list was just last names.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. I know. Yeah, maybe not some of them. I will need human box rec to help us out. By the way, people checking out box rec tomorrow. There's some kind of huge update going to be happening, and it will be down every so often tomorrow. So if you're wondering why box rec's playing up, that's why.
Yep. Arthur making a really good point in the chat, saying if they can make Wilder Fury 2 and announce it, why can't they make Spence Crawford? Absolutely agree with that. It's everything's on the table now, guys. We can't put that off.
Has it been announced?
It's been soft announced.
Right.
Right? Like, it's not a hard announcement of like, hey, this is the date, venue, here's a press release. No, not that. But
It's an Instagram post, and
both
Tyson
both
Fury.
fighters have said, hey, we've agreed to this, and it's going to be in the first quarter of next year. Fury came out with a date. It's a soft announcement. Come on, you can't deny that. Digressing. Let's move on, because again, we're going to get to Pacquiao's legacy later on the show. Ugas versus Figueroa Jr. God, this fight was rough. This fight,
For Figueroa, yeah.
oh, for everyone, man. Like, this fight was rough to watch. I can't believe this fight ended up being boring, in a way, or just ugly. I thought Figueroa was holding consistently, and then halfway through the fight, like, Ugas started holding a lot too. It was just weird. It was an odd fight that on paper made sense, but when we got it, did not turn out so pretty. Ugas won clearly. I think a fight maybe against Lipinets makes sense. That'd be a fun action fight. I'm down for that. At least it's a fun action fight on paper. God knows how it turns out. Rob, did you catch this fight?
Yeah, I've seen. Where did I get up to with this? I kind of knew what was the rest of it once I saw like half of it, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah. People saying, "Oh, we've got a Figueroa in shape. Watch out, this could be something."
No, he was not.
No, it was bad. Yeah, he got a real. Ugas dealt with him very comfortably. But yeah, what next for Ugas? Obviously, a lot of people felt he beat Porter. Now he's coming off of like this win as well. I don't know. I'm sure he'll probably get another final eliminator soon. But yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, I think a few people felt, oh, this will be a good fight, and kind of wasn't.
Yeah, depressing. Moving on, Luis Nery defeating Juan Carlos Payano in actually a really tough back and forth fight for Nery, in a fight that I wasn't really expecting. Payano brought that 500 fight amateur career out of his tool bag, and he was ready to go, man. He was on his toes, jabbing, negating the offense of Nery quite well. And Nery, not really the cleanest offensive fighter. I think Payano probably watched a lot of tape and saw that and took advantage of it. However, Nery's younger, faster, stronger, and hits fucking hard, and eventually did get him with a brutal body shot KO in the 9th round. However, I do think this fight, in a lot of people's mindset, that Inoue is the top guy at 118. And Nery, while really talented, really good, he is not Inoue. Inoue seems like he is something else. Like he's an alien. He is otherworldly. Rob, did you catch this fight?
No, I haven't seen this. I was driving back from the O2 at the time, and you were telling me.
Driving back from the O2, look at me, Mr. Big Shot.
I went to a fight. Get over it. But yeah, you were like, damn, Nery's struggling with Payano. And I was like, really? Is he losing? I can't remember what you said, but yeah, no, it was crazy. I know a lot of people were quite high on Nery. And, going in, he just missed weight. I know it's like half a pound, but that's always been a question mark with him as well. He made the weight, obviously, but Payano always been like a tough guy. I think until Inoue, no one had stopped him or anything like that. And yeah, Nery was supposed to do similar things to Inoue, but it didn't happen.
Agreed. Caleb Plant, though, holy shit. I knew he was gonna make an example of Mike Lee because Mike Lee just did not belong at this level. Like he never had, even with the undefeated record, he had never proven to be at this level. Sort of like Shawnee Monahan. He got here by being some sort of name value from another sport or something. I don't know. Who cares? And Caleb Plant treated him as such and defeated him via TKO in the 3rd round, knocked him down 4 times, I think, total. Once in the 1st round, I think 3 times in the final round. It was just completely one-sided. I hope that we get a Benavidez Anthony Durrell winner versus Caleb Plant next, because I have no desire now to see Caleb Plant fight like subpar competition, because he is just so clearly levels above them now that he needs to fight top 10, top 15 guys all the time now. Otherwise, I don't care to see it.
He needs to fight the other.
That'd be a great fight too.
We need to see him better than Mike Lee. I'm sorry,
Period.
but that was just not.
Hell, I even take Chris Eubank over Mike Lee.
Yeah, all day long, easily. I don't know what you even meant by that. That's the obvious. So, no hate, obviously, but Plant. Yeah, it's good. Hopefully, he's getting some real shine off this. I mean, he did tweet that no marks, nothing on my, no bruises, nothing on my face. And someone put, but no legitimate opponent.
I'm curious to see the viewership.
Huh?
I'm curious to see the viewership on Fox.
Yeah, this was the pre-pay-per-view stuff, right? So, I'm sure we'll get some figures on that fairly soon.
Agreed. Sergey Lepinets defeated J.R. Ensign via TKO. He came in on 1 day's notice. We don't need to say anything else. It was just a brutal KO. Sergey Lepinets fight Udonis Ugas. I love that fight. 2 top 10 guys versus each other. Winner then fights, let's say, a top guy, like a legit top guy. Mm-hmm. All in favor of that. Efe Agaba fought Ali Demizirin, who was a undefeated Olympic 2016, right? 2016 Olympic fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Fought Filip Hrgovic and lost in the first round, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Ali gave him that work, to be honest. The scorecards were atrocious. Adelaide Bird came back, guys, as we were talking about on an earlier show. And she scored at 99-91 for Efe. And look, Efe won, but first off, it was an ugly fight. Secondly, Efe struggled. It was a tough fight. I think clearly he needs a lot of work. And on top of that, he needs to be quicker. Like, he just looked kind of slow in there at times. Slow to react, slow to move. Like, I don't know how to fix that. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, but he needs to fix that. He needs to be a little bit quicker to the draw. Otherwise, these top guys are going to chew him up, because he's too tall, too upright, too robotic, and too slow to hang with these top guys. And Ali is not a top guy, clearly. But he is just a good amateur, a good prospect with amateur pedigree. So Efe needs to get a lot more work in before I think we talk about him as like a Daniel Dubois, for example, who could be fast-tracked towards the top 10, top 15 if he wanted to be, because he's that talented, that skilled. Efe is not. It clearly is not.
No, his footwork was
poor.
Yeah, he's got a lot to work on. I think the brakes can be well and truly pumped on that sort of mini hype train, if you know what I mean. But don't get me wrong. I think if you check him out on BoxRec, he's now moved to number 25. So
that makes sense.
It was a high guy as far as BoxRec was concerned. I think he was like 25 or something. So he's sort of took his spot. But yeah, clearly a lot to work on. But early days, I'm not saying the guy is rubbish. But there's things to iron out and work on. So still obviously tune into the guy, because when he gets it right, he's entertaining to actually watch. Brutal knockouts and things like that. So still one to keep an eye on, not sort of turning your back on.
Absolutely agree. We're going to talk about some UK prospects here in a second that you can totally turn your back on. It's okay, guys. Totally okay. Whyte, Rivas, not Whyte. You don't need to turn your back on Whyte. Don't worry. Actually turned out to be a really fun fight. It could have been a little bit better, but I felt like both guys got tired towards the end, to be quite honest. Like, a lot of the body shots clearly took the energy out of them. So, like, the 11th and 12th rounds didn't kick off the way I'd hoped they would, because it seemed like we were going that way with Whyte going down the 9th round, that Rivas was going to just have this momentum swing in these later rounds, these championship rounds, and maybe get Whyte out of there, or vice versa, Whyte maybe having a momentum swing back. But I think both guys just, again, got tired from the body shots, because both guys went to the body a lot throughout this fight. Dylan Whyte was just a little bit too polished for Oscar Rivas. His jab was there, consistently. On top of that, the left hook that he was throwing to the body, I thought was more efficient than Rivas was. But Rivas did look like he belongs with these guys in a way. I will add that. Like Rivas definitely out of now the Brian Jennings and Dylan Whyte fight, we can clearly tell that Rivas is a top 15-ish heavyweight, and I wouldn't mind him fighting. God. Maybe somebody that needs to lose in the next couple fights. Let's say whoever loses the AJ Ruiz fight. Let's say if AJ loses again. AJ versus Oscar Rivas. I'm down for that. That'd be cool. Parker Chisora loser. I would like to see them fight Rivas. Usyk Takam. Whoever loses that fight, you can fight Oscar Rivas. Jarrell Miller coming off a suspension. You can fight Rivas. If Pulev doesn't get the Fury fight, Pulev versus Rivas makes sense. That's sort of the barometer of, or sort of the level of fights I want for Oscar Rivas at this point. Dylan Whyte, that's obviously earned himself to be a mandatory to to Deontay Wilder. And I think, to be honest, I really don't want to see him fight a tune-up in December or something like that they've alluded to. I'd rather he just sit out, maybe have an exhibition or something like that. Do like what all other top guys have done in the past, have an exhibition instead. A 4-round fight you stream, and it's a 4-round sparring match, and it just, again, something to just do. But I would rather just see White wait and get a big fight, whatever that big fight is. I don't want to see him dropped anywhere below Oscar Rivas in terms of competition level. Rob, thoughts on this fight?
I thought it was a really good display from Dillian Whyte. I think he's showing how he's maturing. For me, Rivas was very one pace. There wasn't any gears. He just sort of did his thing from start to finish. He proved to be like a real, tough guy. And for someone with such an amateur background, I thought he kind of looked a little bit amateurish at times. I thought Dillian Whyte just showed how that jab. People talk about the left hook, but that jab is really, really starting to work for him really well. And he mixed it up. It was like single shots, and then it was like the double jab. But I think it was round 2. The place went absolutely nuts when they started hooking off and trading off. Was it Dillian caught him, and then he was almost like, "Oh shit, is he hurt? Fuck it, let's go." And he went sort of trotting in to go and finish him off, and they like proper hooked off with each other, and it was crazy. But then White settled back down, just kept him on the jab, and I thought it was a really good display. As far as the next opponent, we'll obviously get onto the fight in a minute, but I can see it being like David Price or something like that, to be honest, off the back of his win. But yeah, no, a real good performance, and it's just when
why do you hate David Price so much, man? It's because he beat Dave Allen, huh? You're like, oh, he beat my man. Fuck that. Price, go fight Dylan Whyte. Go fight Dylan Whyte. Go do that.
My man. Oh my days. But yeah, no.
Hey, hold on. Arthur, bring up another fighter for Dylan Whyte. The god himself, Charles Martin. Yes, I like that.
He also said the one I said.
Yeah, but I don't like that. Like, that's too much of an easy knockout.
Whatever. We could all have our... Look, you just want Charles Martin to take that mandatory spot because you're a big Charles Martin.
Oh, so you admit that Charles Martin would beat Dylan Whyte. Interesting. Interesting. Well, you assumed it.
No, for you. That's why you want that fight.
Well, I didn't bring it up. I just brought up Charles Martin just in the fight. You brought up the fact that he would win.
When was that? Let me rewind the tape.
You did. It's okay. We can move on. Speaking of David Price, though, David Price defeated David Allen in a fight that I never need to watch again. It was super slow. Like once Price got into that rhythm of I'm just gonna pump the jab out, and Allen just really had no answer for the jab.
Wait. Fat apples. White should fight Brett Yormark next. And the man who runs the WBC, what's his name? Dion Warwick.
Anyways, I thought, again, Price got into a really boring rhythm with the jab. And while it was effective, obviously, like no real shot on his game plan. The game plan was perfect. He doesn't have the chin to really engage in combinations with David Allen. And the jab's working, keeping him at range. You have the height, you have the reach, use it. And it worked. And plus, the second that eye started closing up for Allen, you could tell that was bothering him. And on top of that, him seemingly having some concussion issues after the fact. And, did he go out on a stretcher? Is that?
Yeah, it was pretty scary. And
yeah.
Eddie Hearn mentioned it today. He's been to fights recently where oxygen isn't ringside. And he said it is so important that oxygen should be at every fight ringside for the second. Because he said the second Allen told his corner and that they stopped it, he was instantly given oxygen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Same as Spilka, instantly was there on hand.
Spilka was scary. Shit. We're going to get to that in a second.
We'll get to that in a sec, yeah. He left on a stretcher. I think went straight to the hospital. Reports came back that he'd broken orbital bone, damage to his tongue, which is now like the second time that's happened. So I don't know what he's doing.
His mouth must be open.
Yeah, stuff like that. So and he had brain scans. But for me, you said it yourself, like the fight was really like a slow pace. And that is where, and it might have been hard for Allen because the face-off was ridiculous. I think one of the shots was Allen was like barefoot and Price had put his trainers back on. So it was ridiculous. But for me, to be Price, you've got to pressure him and make him work and then sort of drain his tank that way. Obviously body shots as well. But I think it was Anthony Fowler tweeted. He said, I've got Price winning 3-0. He's comfortable at this pace. So as long as it stayed at that pace, he was going to be able to do that, So, shame for Allen. I've seen a whole bunch of people hating on it. Interestingly, well, sort of again,
hating on it. How? Sorry, because you follow a different side boxing.
Yeah, just that he said he was going to beat Price and that he wanted Povetkin after this and things like that. But I've seen it as well spoken about Thurman that he spoke all his shit. Karma's a bitch. It come back to get you. They're selling fights.
You care more.
I've never heard a fighter say, "Yeah, I'm going to try my best, but I'm probably going to get my ass kicked." When have you ever heard a fighter say, "Yeah, I'm not going to win. I'm not very good"?
Hey, Rob.
Hello.
Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. I would equate this. YouTube comment sections, right? At times, right? Rob, is the same to replies to fighters on IG or Twitter. Like it's the same cesspool. Love you, live chat. No mean to disrespect any of you guys. You know the usuals and regulars. I love you, but the weirdos out there, you guys know I'm talking about you. It's just you guys are weird. I avoid you. I ignore you. Rob, ignore them.
No, I know, but it's just hard.
The fighters can, unfortunately, but we have to.
Yeah, and I've seen Allen. I mean, look, there was reports of Allen was up drinking until 2:30 a.m. on the night before the fight. A, David Allen is teetotal and doesn't drink. And B, it's no big thing that a fighter was up late the night before. Let's not forget, they then go to work at like 10 p.m. in the evenings. They got a bit of room to have a lie in, it could be nerves or it's bollocks. He just got beaten by a better guy. That was it. He found his level and he couldn't quite do anything about it. And let me tell you, we always hear David Price is this huge puncher, right? Those shots that Allen was taking were brutal. Just being like ringside and hearing those shots land from Price. Oh my God. Oh my God, they're horrible to hear. And the thing is, Allen is such a fucking tough guy. It would be better if he got knocked out, not just stand and take just repeated blows to the head. But he's so fucking tough. He just doesn't go down. It's insane. But and a little bit scary as well. He's done a video, I think yesterday. He was just out for a walk, and he's like, as he does, like, "Hello, everyone. I'm doing all right. Yeah, the eye hurts a bit, but I'm okay." And he's sort of mulling things over. And he said how he was having a few health issues in the weeks before the fight, and like having headaches and just a few other health issues. And Eddie Hearn made comment of that today, saying I think as a promotional company, we're looking into that, because as far as we were concerned and that we knew, Dave Allen was in full bill of health, but to hear that he was suffering headaches, for weeks building up to the fight, that's quite worrying, and we're going to do a sort of investigate that and find out quite what's going on, because obviously we don't want fighters going into fights that are, got maybe like head problems and stuff. That's not what we want. So and as for Allen, people questioning, should he carry on, should he quit? A lot of people saying he could do a really good job in the UK, like as a pundit or some TV work, and there's money outside of fighting.
Telling him right now, David, if you're listening, Davey, podcast. You are exactly the type of guy that would have an awesome podcast, and you already have a fan base, like a little tiny niche audience. And in this space, if you have like 1,000, 2,000 people that watch you consistently, you will make money. So hey, Davey, start a podcast, man. Trust me.
Perhaps start with a Davey.
Look, if Teddy is doing it, Davey, you can do it too. Be like Teddy, Davey.
Oh my God. But yeah. So obviously Price got his big win. And just quickly, Tony Bellew, obviously mad Liverpudlian, Scouser, his boy. Price was in there. I think it was the round that Allen sat down, he got bust open in the eye. I think Bellew must have been watching it real close, and everyone else around was like, "Oh God, what's going on with this fight, man?" Oh, blah, blah, chat. And you just heard Bellew go, "Dave, they've stopped it," and he was going crazy. And then David Price looked round, and there's the ref waving it off. The place went like, "Oh my God!" But
they were saying, "Oh my God, it's done, thank you."
Yeah, but like Bellew was fucking made up, running up to the ring and stuff like that. But yeah, David Price, I can confirm, when he lands a shot, it sounds fucking horrific. So
quickly, since you mentioned Tony Bellew, a brief aside, and then we're gonna jump to Chisora Spielka. For any of those out there that are really like savvy with the internets, because I don't want to do it, I want somebody else to do it because I'm lazy. Do a side-by-side of when Tony Bellew pushed Eddie Hearn off his back, okay, in that dramatic moment, and then have a side-by-side of Usyk doing the same thing to Tony Bellew when Tony Bellew snuck up behind Usyk and gave him a hug, because that shit had me dying. Usyk looked like he was about to stab Tony Bellew, only because, again, like he was more surprised and scared that somebody came up behind him and gave him that hug. You don't do that from people from Ukraine.
Just very quick, while we're on Bellew, he done a video the day after the O2 stuff of him like on an exercise bike or something, and Eddie Hearn's like, "The comeback is on," and
please don't.
I'm sure it's not, but let me tell you, Tony Bellew lives and breathes every punch. He's sat ringside watching. He's shouting at Lawrence Okoli. He's telling Dillian White, "Go to the body." He's just you can tell he's like mad boxing through and through. But please, Tony, don't return. As much as it'd be great for me to see you fighting again, but nah, just keep doing your job with Sky. You do a good job.
Moving on, because we talked about Allen and Price and all that stuff way too much. Chisora Spielka. Chisora picked up a huge KO in the second round against Spielka, and it was really unsettling. First round, nothing really happened of note, to be honest. And the second round, Spielka got cut up against the rope. Chisora landed a right hook, and you can tell it instantly sort of disconnected Spielka from his consciousness. And he was still up, and the ref wasn't moving in. And Chisora landed, I think, like a 3-piece or a 2-piece, but the final punch was a right hook. And it sent Spielka down, and Spielka was out for a while. Crazy knockout. Spielka, please retire, man. You've had too many of those.
My God. that was about 10 feet from me. That was our side of the ring. And like you say, I saw Chisora land that big hook to start with. He went to the body and just brought the hook up over the top. And you could tell it, like you said, it just like
He was
Spielka,
out.
he just turned him off.
He was out.
He was there to just pump. And I think the referee was a little bit slow on it because he got like 3, maybe 4 free shots at him. And it was horrible. Absolutely. Oh my God. And obviously a big crowd got around Spielka. His wife came running past us and she was going absolutely crazy, like crying, screaming, hitting people.
Yeah.
This matchroom guy was like, do you want to just let the doctors see your husband?
And on top of that, just to add to the context, obviously, for those maybe that don't know, though I think if you're listening to the show, you do know, this all happened the day after, and we're going to get to it later, Maxim Dadashev had his scary situation that's still ongoing. We still haven't really had an official update on him.
Well, they had to remove a piece of his skull to relieve the pressure, so how he's doing after that, I'm not sure.
So again, we're gonna get to that later in a bit, but this has all happened the night after. So I think everyone's on edge. Like I was on edge, to be honest. I was just a listener, a fan of the sport. I was worried. I was extra aware of everyone that needed help after a knockout, and it seemed like a lot of people did. Last night it really did.
It really as much as we were like, oh shit, the knockout, but the way he went down, I was instantly kind of like holding like sort of mouth open but hands over, like, and you knew he was like that was a proper rough, heavy, like just turning off all the lights. And then like again, when you see, like Eddie Hearn said, you've got to have this oxygen ringside. It was straight on him. But when you see that, it's like, oh my God, he's on oxygen. He's like, oh fuck, this is bad. This is bad. And his wife's fucking wailing, going crazy. And it's like, fuck, it's like, if I just witnessed someone fucking die in the ring, this is unbelievable. And then, obviously he started to come round and that. But yeah, there was a real, because at first, Chisora was pumped, like the energy of it, like, oh my God, yeah. And like you see Dave Caldwell kind of like trying to kind of just wait, just fuck this. And Dave Caldwell was sort of there to attend, but not like getting in the way. He was like concerned, and everyone was. The whole atmosphere kind of changed. They kept showing the replays, and it just every time people were like, oh fuck, and then they were like obviously checking on Spielka, like, is he moving? Is he this? But obviously he got up, started to get up, and you sort of think, oh, thank God for that. And then he did actually leave. He walked out himself. He wasn't sort of stretchered out or anything like that. But that was as much as the knockout was spectacular, that was a kind of heart in your mouth kind of moment. Like, shit, is he going to be all right?
Agreed. Hope Spielka's all right. We haven't really heard much about him.
He was in the back with Chisora afterwards. He said, what did Chisora say to him? Oh, come over to Poland and I'll see you. I think Chisora's been over a few times. They kind of know each other. And you hear Spielka say, I don't want you to come. Like, you stay here.
That's cool. Speaking of stuff that's not cool, Lawrence Okolie had a fight. And Richard, help me with the last name.
Riakporhe
had a fight. Heavy loose usage of the term fight for both shows.
Riakporhe was a fight. There was I guess a
lot.
Oh
my God, it was so boring.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a fight.
Okay, no, you're right. No, they were punching each other. They were hitting each other. No, you're absolutely right. But it was sloppy. It was boring. Both guys gassed out early. Like, it was not fun to watch. Lawrence Okolie had a Lawrence Okolie showing. So, like, that's...
Well, oh my God, there was one point the kid literally ran. I know they say, oh, look, he's just running all night. But there was one point where he did actually break into like a run.
I totally understand.
No, I'm just saying. And again, back to Bellew, he was saying, stop following him, Lawrence, stop following him. Just cut him off. Step to the side. Stop following him. And that was basically whatever the stoppage was, like 8th round or whatever it was, or 7th. But prior to that was 3-minute intervals of Tony Bellew telling Lawrence to stop following him. Basically, it's still a lot to learn. But
one problem with Lawrence Okolie is that he entered the world stage in a sense, in terms of like how many people are aware of him, far too early in his career and his development. Because
yeah, I know what you mean. Like maybe he should be on 13 fights or whatever he is, and we maybe still don't know who he is. If you know what I mean?
Yes, no, that's exactly what should happen. But now everyone in the boxing world does know. People that are hardcore that follow the sport, you know who Lawrence Okolie is, and that isn't a good thing.
As well.
Yeah, and that isn't a good thing anymore. I did not see the Fabio Wardley fight. Rob, I assume you saw it.
That was on the YouTube, Facebook feed before the pay-per-view. He got a bit of a test early on, and then he got about his work. But the first round, it was like, oh, this guy, maybe he's got something, it seems like a step up, but he did get the stoppage in the end. And just quickly, what's his name? Babic is I think Dillian White's just signed him heavyweight. Oh my God, he's a savage. I don't think the opponent was up to much, but Babic knocked him down within like 10 seconds of the fight, and by the time it hit 45 seconds, it was over. So yeah, but he was quoted as saying, "I just want to smash," or something, something like that. It's like, well, don't we all?
That's true. Moving on, unless you have any more thoughts about the card.
No, just obviously just a fun event. Being there, seeing.
Toot your horn, Rob. Hold on, guys. Rob broke his cherry, guys. Yes. First event, first like legit interviews in a way. But we've done show interviews before, but like those don't count.
Yeah, I've been to fights before.
But I mean, like as media. Yes.
But yeah, no, real good. Sort of seeing it all going down and everyone running about, instead of seeing like the people that you see on YouTube channels, like IFL and things like that. It was like, oh shit, there's so and so, Mm-hmm. Oh god, there's another. But no, it's good, really good. And it being that close, where obviously everyone's there as regular, there is a real kind of like, I guess, like family vibe. It's like, all the Sky team, and then the YouTube channels, and like the security guy, they're all the same guys every time, I guess. So there was real like everyone hugging and this and like, oh, how you doing, man? And yeah, it's good, really good. But
I would say the US sort of has that, but not really. Like
no, it's like Johnny Nelson, Cal Froch, Tony Bellew, and Anna Woolhouse, like the lead sort of presenter. And then there's the security guys there, and there's the runners bringing this, and then like I say, there's like the regular YouTube channels,
the print, all
the
other
lighting
outlets,
guys, the camera guys. It's just a real like, I guess it's all one team. They're all trying to put on.
Well, not really, but I'll put it this way: everyone in the U.S. shows obviously know each other because it's the same people every time. Like when I go, it's the same people. It's the same. Everyone's in the same seats, like the same thing every time, but way less hugging. At the U.S. with the U.S. media, way less hugging. There are people that obviously have their cliques and stuff, but like far less. Like, oh, we're all one happy family. Moving on to a one happy family, the Lopez family picking up a win. Thurman Lopez winning and defeating Masayushi Nakatani on his main event debut, in a sense, on ESPN Plus, and actually a really tough fight in a way that I still am not 100% sure about where I land on this fight in terms of, do I think like we need a hard like pump the brakes on Thurman Lopez? Was this a guy in Nakatani that was undefeated and really talented that we just don't really know of, because that happens all the time in these divisions?
Japanese fighters that have maybe fought a lot over there and stuff like that.
And it's nothing new, right, for that to happen, that an unheralded Japanese undefeated fighter with some knockout power, too, that's significantly taller than Thurman Lopez, will present some issues for a truly untested prospect in a way. But I still come to the fact that there are some issues with Lopez. The cardio is not there in the way that he needs it to be for a 12-round fight. He definitely slipped and dipped in terms of activity and just efficiency as the fight wore on. On top of that, I felt like he ran out of ideas rather quickly, to be honest. For a guy that has seemed to be really creative throughout his career thus far, kind of wasn't creative here. Ran out of ideas, ran out of the creativity in this fight.
But how many rounds did you give Nakatani?
I probably gave him 4.
So
maybe 5.
Ran out of ideas, but won 8-4. I don't see there's a huge issue with that.
Well, Rob, you know this. Like, just saying like a guy won 8-4, 7-5 isn't the same all the time. Because a 10-9 round is different all the time. Like for example, the Pacquiao Thurman fight, right? Because that happened this last weekend. The round which Pacquiao gave hurt Thurman to the body, that could be a 10-9 round. But that's very different than, let's say, a 10-9 close swing round that you gave to Thurman or Pacquiao in the fight. But they're still 10-9 rounds, right? So, yes, Thurman Lopez clearly won the fight. I'm not saying like Nakatani won the fight, but he struggled. What won him this fight was that he was just probably his base level of technique, of skill, was just better than Nakatani. So, like, his thread point throughout the fight was he is still better than Nakatani. However, Nakatani presented the issues of his game plan, the issues of his creativity and adaptability within a fight, because there was large stretches, especially in the second half of the fight, where Nakatani got better in, where Thurman Lopez ran out of ideas and ran out of stuff to do. Like, he kept trying to do the same thing over and over again, and it wasn't working. Same combination, same setup, same pattern. And on top of that, he kept, I think, allowing Nakatani to dictate the pace and tempo at times by being on the back foot and trying to be defensive. And Nakatani, being the guy that has the reach and has that power, he was able to sort of take advantage of Tifimo giving him that space. But again, I'm not doing a hard reset, hard pump the brakes on Thurman Lopez, but there are still glaring issues. And this fight presented those glaring issues when maybe they weren't there before. The Richard Comey fight is far more intriguing now than what it was previously. I'm not going to give a prediction yet, but I'm excited to see that fight. That fight could be a true pick'em fight in a way.
Yeah, no, I get you. I done a joke tweet. So there's a guy that does yeah, Ron in the chat. Yeah.
What up, Ron?
Just messing around. There's a guy that does like boxing betting odds and stuff. I said, is there a price for Comey Lopez yet? And he said, not that I've seen any like prices for it yet. I said, damn, I just wanted to figure out my bet for like obviously Campbell Comey for the undisputed, and then Loma versus Lopez to win the Hype Train title. But no, I don't think there's any need to jump off the train.
For example, Rubisky bringing up Timothy Bradley said on the telecast that he got exposed. I don't agree with that. I think that's hyperbolic.
Sometimes you just meet a tough guy. He's been knocking everyone over, right? So he just didn't this time, and he won 8-4. In your opinion, maybe some gave it even wider, some gave it a little bit closer, but he won the fight. He moves on. That was a IBF eliminator or whatever, and the fight signed with Comey. So exposed or not, I guess we find out in the next one against the IBF champ. Just interestingly, obviously Campbell and Lomachenko announced official. They've done the face-off on Saturday night in the ring. They've done a whole load of media today. And when asked about Teofimo, Lopez, and Comey, Loma said something about I think he said like he thinks Comey will win, but he wants Lopez to win because he wants to fight Lopez because him and his dad go around like a pair of clowns. And I want to like shut him up basically. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, no love lost there. his dad and himself go around like a pair of clowns in his wonderful sort of broken English. It's good.
It was good. It was good. Maxim Dadashev, who is, as far as we know, still in the hospital and still honestly fighting for his life at this point. Prayers to him, to his loved ones. It still honestly really like gets me. Like I get emotional every time I think about Maxim Dadashev. I like brings me back to Pritchard Cologne, brings me back to all these other guys that we've had in the last couple of years, and it just seems like it's so much. But nothing else we can really speak on in terms of Dadashev. But I will say, Sabral Matias, who won the fight, let's not have him get lost in the story of what happened to Dadashev. Matias looked fantastic. Looked like a little tiny mini Jarrett Hurd. I cannot wait to see Matias again. He was really exciting. He is somebody to watch now at 140, at now 14-0, all 14 wins via KO. That is somebody to watch in that division. I would love to see like him versus maybe Ivan Baranchik, for example, next. That would be a hell of a fight. I just wanted to sort of quickly mention that because again, Dadashev is the story of this fight, obviously, as he should be, but Matias won, and he is a fantastic prospect that we need to sort of keep an eye out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Obviously, our thoughts are with Dadashev, but yeah. I guess he is, someone to really keep an eye on now. I mean, impressive performance. Mm-hmm. He wasn't supposed to come and do that, right? So
nope.
No. Yeah. So we'll another little MCR asterisk to put next to a fighter. So we'll keep an eye on that one.
Let's go now to sort of our final sort of top. Oh, actually, Rob, go through your news mentions that you said you had that I don't know about. Then we're going to get to whether or not Manny Pacquiao is TBE, the best of all time. Is he even top 20 of all time? We're going to go through what Patrick Connor said on Twitter, who's a boxing historian, and our own boxing historian of MCR, Santiago, is going to call in and give his thoughts on this list. Rob?
Very quick. Obviously, off the back of the impressive knockout of Szpilka, Chisora being lined up for the Joseph Parker fight. So I think that would be a fun fight. A lot of people sort of saying don't think Parker will want to go to war with Chisora, so we expect him to sort of kind of box him. So that's one thing. What else? Pulev, he's all back on track and can apply for his license in California after completing his
sexual harassment training.
Yeah, that's right. If anyone who doesn't know quite how to do sexual harassment, there are training courses. Great. The wording of that whole thing. He has to attend sexual harassment training. It's like, what? And also, from my chat with Frank Smith and Eddie Hearn, you can maybe see they're trying to definitely get this Triple G, Usyk, Haney taking that September 14th Canelo date.
I love that.
So yeah, that's that's potentially a big card. So yeah, hopefully, and I think it's tomorrow. Someone might know better than me. I think tomorrow is supposedly the deadline for the Canelo Derevchenko purse bid. So expect tomorrow at some point, maybe that we hear that they've stripped Canelo, and maybe that they will order or suggest that Triple G and Derevchenko purse bid date set for whenever and things like that, because they are the next in line for it. But so we'll see. Maybe we'll get Triple G fighting for Canelo's title on Cinco de Mayo, the other one, September 14th, Mexican Independence, whatever it is, on Canelo's date, but Canelo's not actually in the ring. So that might annoy Canelo even more.
I wonder if we accept Triple G versus Munguia if it's packaged with Usyk and Devin Haney on the card. Probably. I probably do. I'm a sellout. I'll admit.
Yeah, well, I think
Okay.
so. I think anyone should want to see Devin Haney fight, Usyk fight, and I guess Triple G in with the right guy, obviously. But
One card, man, that's a lot of dollar for sort of your value. A lot of value for
yeah,
your dollar in a sense.
yep. So yeah, fingers crossed on that. And I thought there was one more, but I can't think right now. I think if it's at the end, I'll mention it. But
Let's get to this top 20 list from Patrick Connor, which, again, there's been some really great takes in the replies. Like, one of them is that Roberto Duran is the the Brandon Rios of his
Yeah.
of his generation, which is by far one of the worst boxing takes in the history of awful, shitty boxing takes. But let's see Patrick's list here. It's not in any order. Yes, Rob?
I just want to say also Patrick Connor. He's obviously getting some grief for this, but he's done a
Yes.
little known fact, boxing fans. But casual actually stands for, and then I don't know what you call it, but you know when you spell
Acronym.
but when they spell it down and then you from the letter you spell the word, but it's casual equals C Manny A Pacquiao S is U top A 30 Al all time. So I don't know, but let's do this list, and obviously we'll get Santi on with his
That's a good
argument for it.
one. For those that are watching YouTube, you guys have been able to see it so far. Harry Greb, Sam Langford, Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, Ezra Charles, Roberto Duran, Willie Pep, Benny Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Mickey Walker, Archie Moore, Joe Gans, Bob Fitzsimmons, Tony Canizeri, Barney Ross, Pernell Whitaker, Sugar Ray Leonard, Jimmy McLarnin, Ed R. Joffrey, and Tommy Hearns. Look, I don't have a significant issue with this list. Maybe I would not put some of these guys over Pacquiao. On top of that, let's be honest, I'm not a boxing historian, so like some of these guys I just don't know enough about, haven't watched enough tape on, just being quite honest, and I'm probably not the one to speak on whether or not Mickey Walker or Tony Canizeri or even like guys like Joe Gans, who's a legend. Like, I just haven't seen enough of them, to be quite honest. Or Jimmy McLarnin or Eder Joffrey, who was a fantastic player, all-time great bantamweight, but I didn't watch him fight. I haven't seen him enough of. I haven't done enough research, so I cannot properly sort of have an opinion on this list. But one guy that does listen to this show every day, that is a good friend of the show, that sometimes contributes, that may have enough knowledge to give an opinion about this list that I trust, it is Santiago. So, Santiago, as I am slowly going over to you, Santiago, what's up, man?
Not much. It's not too often that we do a little history section on this one, considering.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting list for sure. Thank you for clarifying some of the names there, considering. It's an interesting list, I'll say this much. A couple of these people, obviously, I would say are up there as, like, obviously being better. Ray Robinson, Ray Leonard, Willie Pep, one of the best defensive masters. There's that mythos to him that he once told the commentators when they were watching one of his fights that he wasn't going to throw a single punch in that round. He didn't, and the judges still scored it for Willie Pep, which just adds to, like, why he earned the nickname the Will o' the Wisp. And then you've got, the old mongoose. You've got the first 3-division world champion in Bob Fitzsimmons, Barney Ross, another 3-division world champion, a guy who served in World War II, Pernell Whitaker, who recently passed away. May he be at peace right now. One of the great modern defensive fighters of his time, if anything, our modern-day version of Willie Pep. And then, you got a couple guys here that you'd really have to go back in the history books to have known about, like Sam Langford, Harry Greb, Benny Leonard, who fought around the same time as Jack Dempsey. Sam Langford, who was considered the foil to the great Jack Johnson. So, it's a who's of names here for a guy like me.
Do you see any name that jumps out to you as like that name should not be on this list?
If I'm being honest with you, I would have to say probably the only name I could see on here that I wouldn't really consider being on this list. And not to say that they're not like an all-time great either, but if we're doing this in terms of like a stylistic matchup, especially because these guys are just like all over the place in terms of weight classes, off the bat I crossed out Harry Greb, Ezra Charles, Benny Leonard, Joe Gans, guys that I actually think would have been more of a 50-50 shot between Pacquiao would have been Roberto Duran and Thomas Hearns, especially with Thomas Hearns, because if we're talking about the Thomas Hearns that fought Ray Leonard, that was the come forward power puncher, I could see him with that vaunted power and the fact that Pacquiao has been knocked out in the past, probably getting the knockout. But given that he also had his own glass chin, I could easily have seen Pacquiao maybe doing to him what he did to Antonio Margarito.
Probably agree with that. I think you can put Pacquiao above Hearns in terms of like people that I know of. But like guys like Jimmy McLarnin, like I know nothing about. Tony Kenneth Zannery or whatever, I don't know nothing about. Benny Leonard, I know. Ezra Charles, I know. Henry Armstrong, I know. Sam Langford, I know. Harry Greb, I know. I know most of those guys. Barney Ross, I know. But I mean, what would the argument be that these guys have better careers than Manny Pacquiao? Because maybe I just don't know their careers enough.
Well, you're also looking at the same time, too, for some of these fighters, the evolution of the fight game.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bob Fitzsimmons, for example, beat James J. Corbett, who beat the great John L. Sullivan. And James J. Corbett was renowned as being the first fighter to implement the defensive, scientific approach to boxing, where he was on the back foot, punching in combination, maintaining distance. A guy like Bob Fitzsimmons, who was a blacksmith, had one fucked up leg, was able to knock him out, wear him down to the body. And then you've got guys like Benny Leonard, who, like I said, fought during the time of Jack Dempsey. So you're looking at the 1920s, 1919s. And back then, their style of fighting and overall their style of punching was completely different compared to what it is today for a guy like Manny Pacquiao. I could see the awkwardness being about the same around that time, but I would say that a guy like Pacquiao would have probably overwhelmed a guy like Benny Leonard, who was more of a mover, a guy who tried to get out of the way and throw the ones and twos, whereas Pacquiao was more of a combination fighter.
I agree. Do you think it's fair to compare a guy from like the 19, like you said, 1919, 1918 to 2019? Do you think it's fair or easy to compare these guys from literally 100 years apart in terms of evolution in a sport?
I would say not easy, but I wouldn't say it's not fair either, because again, some of these guys on this list were definitely ahead of their time. Like I said, you got a guy like Bob Fitzsimmons, who was the first 3-division world champion, won the middleweight title, won the heavyweight title, then won the light heavyweight title. And he took on who's the guys like a guy like James J. Corbett, who was renowned for being the first guy to implement, the scientific approach to boxing. Benny Leonard, again, fought in the 1920s, Jack Dempsey's time, same time too. Jack Dempsey lost to a guy who also was known for being more of a defensive-minded fighter in Gene Tunney. You got another guy that was ahead of his time too. Sam Langford beat a guy like Jack Johnson, who was renowned as one of the best counterpunchers of his time too. And if you look at some of the things that he did in some of his older fights that are available to find, you see that the approach he had to counterpunching is no different then than it is today for certain counterpunchers.
Okay. Santiago, so you give the okay on this list. This list is okay. You can see the argument for these 20 guys being above Manny Pacquiao.
20 guys being above Manny Pacquiao, no, but 20 guys that rank above or around Manny Pacquiao, yes. Because like I said, Like a guy like Thomas Hearns, for example, I would consider that 50-50 because that fight could easily go two, three, four different ways depending on which fighter we're talking about too. Like, are we talking about the Manny Pacquiao from 2008 to 2011 who was on a tear? Or are we talking about a Thomas Hearns who we feel was the best at his peak as a welterweight?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I'll be honest, Santi. Sorry, I was reading something. I was reading the chat.
Rob, did you hear what I said by chance?
Rob definitely wasn't listening. You know why? Because Rob, this is way too much boxing history for Rob. He's checked out. He's looking at pictures of Dave Allen as we speak, guys.
Oh, stop it, Matt. No, I was waiting to who is a definite notable like guy that isn't on that list. Who have you like wait, what? He's not on there?
I like that. That's a good question. Like, what are some names that should be on that list that aren't on it, other than maybe Manny Pacquiao, obviously, who's the topic of conversation?
Oh, well, then easily, some names are probably missing on this list that I would have considered better than Manny Pacquiao. Again, James J. Corbett, James J. Jeffries. We're looking at, let's see, who else are we looking at here? Gene Tunney. I think if someone would have added it, I might have an argument for it, but I also wouldn't be mad about it either. Would be George Carpentier.
Okay.
I don't know if either of you guys know who that is.
I know the name. I can't tell you that I've seen his fights, but I know the name. I've definitely looked him up on BoxRec before.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of guys on here who are more like foils, but also aggressive fighters in their respect. Like Ray Leonard, Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Ali, Moore are probably the only ones on here that I see that were mainly known for the defensive aspect that I would see giving Pacquiao many issues. Whereas a lot of these guys, I could see them getting the better of him because of experience, because of power, or just overall being about his equal.
I agree with everything you're basically saying, Santi. Now, do you want to keep talking about this, or do you want to talk about Pacquiao, Thurman, Whyte, Rivas, Thurman Lopez? Talk about anything you want now, Santi. And on top of that, thank you for the history lesson. And for those in the chat that maybe don't know these names, or even people like me who don't know most of these names, always beneficial to go do your research. When you hear a name you don't know, you're like, ooh, sounds like an interesting name. Let me go look him up on BoxRec. Let me go find a fight, some highlight reel on YouTube of him. Go do that. It's worth the time, to be honest. And it does, I think, add value as a boxing fan.
Was Floyd Patterson on the list? He wasn't, right?
No, he was not.
No, and I probably would have argued him off the list, to be honest with you. Patterson was a good fighter in his own respect, too, having started his career at middleweight and working his way up to winning the heavyweight title. But I would say that he was the beginning of when we started entering the weak part of the heavyweight before you had Muhammad Ali, because Patterson became heavyweight champion after Rocky Marciano retired. So for some context there about what happened, because same thing with Gene Tunney. Gene Tunney retired undefeated as a heavyweight. He had one loss as a light heavyweight. And the guy who succeeded him ended up being Max Schmeling, who won the title by disqualification.
A couple other names to throw out at you, Santi, to say yes or no to. Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, I would probably put him up there for sure.
Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Ooh. Let's get controversial here. Let's piss off our Mexican listeners.
I would actually put that as a 50-50 fight too, just because Mildred Taylor showed us what a guy with volume could do against him. But at the same time, we also see the tenacity that a guy like Chavez could have against a guy who could throw that kind of volume and still stick it through to the end. So that's a 50-50 one that I would say, because on any given night, that fight could go a certain way.
Okay. Those are the only two names I had off the top of my head, I'll be honest.
All right. What about you, Rob? You got any names by chance? I know you're not much of a history buff, but feel free to shoot any names you might be curious about.
I'm just trying to look at the list and sort of seeing myself who isn't on it.
Like other names that sort of come to mind would be guys that aren't necessarily like. I don't know if I would even say that like they're better than Manny Pacquiao. Like Larry Holmes, I don't know if I would argue that he's better than Manny Pacquiao.
It's hard, eh? It's just real objective and.
I mean subjective.
Huh?
You mean subjective, not objective.
I object to you correcting my grammar.
That was actually that was good. That was good. That was good, Rob. That was a double entendre. I like that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's this guy's list, but does it mean it's right? You know?
No, it's not right. I'm just saying, like, is there an argument for it? That's sort of what the point is. Of course, like we can all say like, oh, maybe I wouldn't put that guy on that list, but we can all maybe say like, oh, I can see why that person's on that list. Maybe why that person shouldn't be on the list. You know, we should maybe have a consensus about that we can see the argument in it. You know what I mean?
Like, who is the most recent fighter on that list? Like Ray Leonard? No, who else is there?
Probably Ray Leonard. Yeah.
So like
The
no.
most recent one on this list would be Pernell Whitaker.
Oh, Pernell, yeah.
Oh yeah, Whitaker, yeah. Yeah. So literally, it's so hard. Like, especially, it's like saying certain soccer players are better than Pat. It's such a hard. For me, it just seems like a hard comparison. Different times, different. I don't know. Just it doesn't seem a level playing field in a way to me. But I don't know. You have to with boxing. I think it's hard. You know, you see the levels of competition. You see the eras that they were in, and just what it's definitely hard for me because I don't know the history like Santi or this guy. Who they fought, and maybe know
another name, Marvin Hagler.
Ugh, Marvin Hagler.
Carlos Monzon.
That one's
there's some names we can put up there. Just saying.
Ingemar Johansson.
Dick Tiger. That's a real name.
Yeah, I could see
Rob.
Dick Tiger on that. I could see Dick Tiger on the list.
He could be up there.
I could see an argument.
Yeah.
I could see an argument for Marvin Hagler considering.
Damn.
Ingemar Johansson, on the other hand, I like the guy. I definitely do, but I wouldn't put him on that list.
No, I was just reading out names.
What about like some lower weight class guys like Jose Galaxy, something like that?
Ooh, Jose Galaxy. Yeah, I probably would be. And the irony too is the fact that Jose Galaxy was someone who learned his trade on the job. Like he started becoming a great fighter as he learned the footwork, his ability to use his left hand to set up the left hand. All of that was learned on the job. Then, and I think you guys know. If you don't know, part of the reason why he got into boxing was because he was working as a bouncer at a nightclub one day. He knocked out an unruly patron, and someone said, "Hey, you should consider taking up boxing," and the rest is history.
Santa, you get a gold star just for saying unruly patron.
Yeah,
that was good. I like that. That was funny. Very gentlemanly of you.
And here's another one too. He and his brother were the first twins to become world champions.
I think I read that somewhere. Yeah, that's neat. Anyways, Pacquiao Thurman. What was that, Rob?
Joe Kawasaki.
Come on, stop. Get out of here.
He
beat one of Santi's guys he wanted on the list.
Yeah, Prince Nassim on the list too. Sure, let's fuck it. Ricky Hatton, Carl Froch.
The list is getting better.
Okay, anyways, Santi, Pacquiao Thurman.
Pacquiao Thurman. What can I say, man? First and foremost, the scoring, right? I think it's interesting that you did point out about like what Max Kellerman once said about what the story of the fight is, because as you could see, you and Fu, when we were doing the live fight chat, simply called out the rounds to me, and I kept track of what person you were scoring for as the rounds were going on. I did mine first, then you guys gave me yours, since obviously I was more ahead of you than you guys were.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys did not know what your score was. You guys had an idea of what you thought your score was, and obviously when the fight was over, you both felt that Pacquiao won, but then when you guys got your score back, you guys were very surprised, and I think that's the beauty of, like, what boxing can be sometimes, because I had it the closest as I was watching it. I had it 6-4, 2 even, 115, 114, Manny Pacquiao, and I felt that 2 of the rounds that would have been key for Thurman winning the fight, Pacquiao fought back to make a 10-10 round, and in the last round, I thought Keith Thurman did enough to fight back to make that a 10-10 round in my books. Definitely was a good fight. I honestly was impressed with how the fight turned out, because I'm pretty sure I'm with a good consensus of the fan base that thought that Thurman was going to walk him down, show Pacquiao his age. You know, he's been in a lot of wars. He's had a long career, a lot of fights. You know, the question really was, how long was Pacquiao going to last for me? And to see him do what he did in that first round and just take it from there and give us the kind of fight that we had, it was impressive, you know, and no shame to Keith Thurman, because I thought Keith Thurman, you know, as the fights kept progressing, was doing better and, you know, closing the gap on the scorecards, but not once did I have him overtake Pacquiao. He came close, but he never overtook him on my scorecard. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what the landscape is right now. We should all be grateful that there's now one WBA champion with Manny Pacquiao. You know, it's funny, too, because I had this thought to myself when I was leaving the theater on Saturday. I'm pretty and you know what? You guys give me your opinion on this. Omar Figueroa looked like what we thought Pacquiao was going to look like, and Pacquiao looked like what we hoped Omar Figueroa was going to be like.
Maybe if I was an Omar Figueroa fan, yes. But since I know you like Omar. Omar is your style. So that's probably why you hoped Omar would look like what Pacquiao looked like. But I never hoped for that or really thought that was going to happen. I'll be honest, the Omar Figueroa we got was 100% the Omar I thought we were going to get. I was 100% right about what Omar is at this point in time. Okay, so I don't know about that, but I will say Manny Pacquiao looked fantastic. I'm still kind of blown away by how good he looked. I will also add, I hope next fight, he's enrolled in VADA specifically, all training camp, or even a step better, 365, 24/7. That's not the clean boxing program. Thank you, Sean. Sean Gibbons, you follow me on Twitter. I know you listen to the show. Get on that, and I hope you guys out a lot. Or not, maybe. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I mean, look, he's
man,
never popped, never failed a
Never
test. But there's always these kind of like allegations, I guess, or there's he's under suspicion by a certain section of. So you can counteract that by signing up.
Absolutely.
Huh?
I said absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. But if you're scared of needles, you're scared of needles, right?
You're scared of needles. You're scared of needles. That's true, except for all those tattoos. Santi.
I mean, as someone who has had a deathly fear of needles, I can attest to that. But moving on that notion, Omar Figueroa, he fought like a guy who came out of retirement. You know, his last couple fight choices, his last couple performances tell a lot about a guy who, like you said, really hasn't had his head on straight for a while. And you have to question what was the point of him, you know, even being back. You know, when I heard that he was when I heard he was gonna fight Ugas, instantly I was like, Ugas is gonna take this easy. You know, Ugas gave a good performance against Sean Porter. I thought he did enough to become the new WBC champion. And Figueroa, you know, he came in there and honestly looked like a guy who thought he was going to fall back into the old paces, do what he did before, and everything was going to be hunky-dory. And soon enough, you looked at a guy who, you know, it broke Gary's heart as it did mine to see him just look so lethargic, you know. He looked worse than he did against Ricky Burns when he first moved up to 140. And back then, he was still fairly active, if you want to call it that. So, personally, I don't think his heart's in it anymore. I don't know what's going on in his life. I honestly think if he doesn't take a sabbatical, he should just consider calling it a career. He gave us some good fights. He gave us a good, memorable fight against Nahito Arakawa. But this is the only figure we're going to keep getting. I don't want to see it. It's not worth it, and it'll just make guys like me and Gary sad to see him go on like that. A guy who had a lot of promise to him at 135, but once that move up to 140 happened, it was all just downhill from there.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Gary's on the line right after you, man. I can tell that call, that what you just said got him sad. I can tell. I can sense it through the computer.
I could sense it too when he was writing on the live fight chat about Omar Figueroa, man. It broke my fucking heart to just read that stuff because it's like, Gary, you and me, we would have had a fun time at the Nahito Arakawa fight. We really would have. Obviously, Luis Neri, Juan Carlos Baiano, limitations shown. You could see the kind of style that Neri has, and that power is very, very much a game changer for his style. But definitely he's going to want to start shoring up on a couple of things, because if a guy can stay disciplined and keep him off kilter for 12 rounds, he's not gonna do well against the guys who have that kind of discipline. Baiano being in there with guys like, Naoya Inoue and stuff, I don't know if maybe that 1-2 that he took took something out of him. I thought he looked good, but who knows how much he has left at this point, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Neri's one of those guys where he is so reliant on that power in a way where if he's not able to land shots, and he's also pretty wild with his technique, his game can be sort of picked apart. Like the holes are there. You can see them. Inoue is definitely talented enough to capitalize on those holes. On top of that, he has the power to truly capitalize on those holes. I am curious as to that chaotic nature of Neri's game, what that can look like, because Neri does have the power to upset anyone's night, and he does sort of thrive in the chaos. And the idea of Inoue and Neri on the inside exchanging combinations, that would be pretty scary, and I cannot wait to see it.
You'll have your heart in your hand when that happens.
So I'll be pretty emotional in that fight. I love Neri. I love Inoue. That one's gonna be tough for me.
Yeah, man. Can't say much about Sergey Lipinets. Obviously took on a day replacement. Did his thing, looked good. Hopefully we see him against, another guy that'll be more prepared than this guy was. And, it's a shame that I couldn't be there live again to see Caleb Plant make the first defense of his title. I would have killed to be there, but kudos to him showing what he's got. And honestly, I'm looking forward to Benavidez Plant. That's going to be the fight to watch, the fight to make. And I can only hope that maybe we get lucky they put that here in California, man, because if you get credentialed that fight, I'll be your fucking driver for that. I'll fucking go all the way to your place, pick you up, drive you over there. I'll sit in the stadium. You'll sit at press row, and we're going to have ourselves a fun old time.
Thank you for the call, Santi. Always appreciate it, man. Let's go out to Dallas. He's back. He's been back for a couple of shows, but they've been on Patreon, I feel like. Gary, what's up, man? Been a while, kind of. Like on the main show, it's been a while.
I feel like you guys are trying to touch a nerve with the Omar Figueroa thing.
I didn't talk about it.
Poking at the wound there.
I didn't bring it up. Santi brought it up. I apologize. I will text Santi. How dare he do that? He should know not to do that.
But Gary, you're the appendix of MCR. So.
It's like saying, hey, remember when that girl broke up with you? The one that you really liked, that one that broke up with you?
Oh, of course.
Broke your heart, remember that?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, yeah, we don't need to talk about that all the time. again, it's more important for Figueroa to get his life together for him than for him to worry about boxing right now. Hopefully he got a decent paycheck for that fight, and he's got enough money to start his life over. Maybe that doesn't include boxing. I don't know. I just hope that doesn't happen to his little brother. Hope he's a good influence, not a bad influence, because Brandon's got a future.
Until a new weight comes to super bantamweight, then not so much.
Yeah, he goes up to 122, but most of his big money fights are at 118. So why wouldn't he stay at 118?
Well, he's about to clear out 118.
He could go to 122, but clean up. Yeah. Well, then Brandon will be at 126 at that point. Just stay one weight division away from a new weight at all times. I want to talk about, I'm not the historian that Santiago, or I don't know if he's listening, but Ron, Fighter IQ, is, but I know the sport, right? And let me ask you this, what's a better car, the Model T or the 2019 Lamborghini Aventador? What's a better car?
No, I'm more of the mindset that you are, Santi. That like it's really hard to. I know the point you're getting at, Gary, is that it's like how do you rate current athletes with all of the advanced modern techniques of training and supplements and all the fun shit with guys that were on average smaller, on average had less muscle mass, on average were less athletic, didn't have modern techniques, didn't have modern equipment, like how, and probably didn't have the right diets. Like how could you rate them with the modern day? On top of that, if you look at the old like heights and weights for the old divisions, like heavyweight, it's almost incomparable. You know, there was like the first 6 foot guy that was a champion didn't come to like the 1940s or some shit, right? Like this is.
Yeah, that was my other point. Rocky Marciano weighed 185 pounds. And I'm not trying to sound disrespectful or anything, but Caleb Plant or Billy Joe Saunders, and probably Canelo. Canelo's short, though. But those guys would eat his lunch. He wouldn't touch those guys. Go back and watch Rocky. He's got skills, but he's got slow white guy problems. Like, he's flat-footed. He's slow as can be. Like, he would not do well against any mover, any defensive fighter today with today's skill set who weighs 185. Like, what do you think Canelo walks around at? About 180 pounds?
185 probably.
Okay, so that's what Rocky Marciano weighs. There's no, and Canelo's not even a particularly big middleweight by today's standards, right? He beats Rocky Marciano because Marciano doesn't have a size advantage over him. I mean, that sounds weird because Marciano's a heavyweight, but they're both 185 pounds, give or take. Like, it's just, I don't see how you compare those guys. Like, they put a picture of AJ next to Marciano. Do you really think Marciano would beat AJ? AJ's about 8 inches tall and got 70 pounds on him. It's like, obviously AJ beats him. So that's like my other point. Like, there's two different things. Like, Pacquiao's had a great career, right? And you could put his career ahead over a lot of guys. But does Manny Pacquiao at any weight, 35, 40, or 47, beat Pernell Whitaker? Of course not. Right?
Sorry, does Manny at any weight beat Pernell Whitaker? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, 35, 40, 47. Pick the weight. Any of those weight classes, does Manny Pacquiao beat Pernell Whitaker?
Probably not. Maybe 47.
Probably not. Definitely. No way. He doesn't touch him. You can put the weight, and he doesn't touch him, right? But so Whitaker was better. Like, Whitaker would beat him, but Pacquiao obviously has a much better career.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Roy Jones Jr. was the best fighter I ever saw in my lifetime, right? Which goes back to, let's call it the 80s, right? Which I'm missing 80 years of boxing history like Santiago has, right? But from that point on, Roy Jones Jr. is the best fighter I ever saw.
Yeah.
But Pacquiao had a better career than him. You know what I'm saying? Pacquiao's career was better. If you look at the names on Pacquiao's resume, now they've got guys like Bradley and Cotto and and Keith Thurman to go along with the De La Hoyas, the Morales, the Barreras. He's dominated and beaten the best guys in 2 consecutive generations. Like, it's really crazy. With that being said, at any weight class from 130 up, he doesn't beat Floyd Mayweather. He doesn't beat Pernell Whitaker. He's not better than those guys, but his legacy, his career is better. So it's like, how do you rank that?
I would assume, with the way you're talking, that you would pick like Duran to beat Manny Pacquiao.
Duran would be, that's like one of my all-time dream fights. Put it at 35. I think that is probably the best fight you can make at that weight class because Duran wasn't like Chavez. Duran was a master boxer who could brawl on the inside. That would, like, I think Duran's better than Pacquiao, right? Like, that's one guy I would rank ahead of Pacquiao. At both career, but just stylistically, that's about the most fun fight you can make. I can't think of a more fun fight in the lightweight division than Duran versus Pacquiao. Like, that's the one I would want to see.
So where does Pacquiao rank for you, Gary? Where does Pacquiao rank all time for you?
It's funny. If you just measure his career and the names on his resume, he's top 20 for sure. Like, there aren't 20 guys with a better resume than Manny Pacquiao, ever. There's not. Maybe top 10. So somewhere in between 10 and 20, I would say, is probably where Pacquiao goes. But again, I don't have the knowledge of the guys from the 1930s like Santiago does. I don't. So I don't know. You know, like you're not getting as informed opinion from me as you would.
That's fine.
I can't.
That's fine.
Compare his resume to Dick Tiger's because I don't know Dick Tiger's resume, right? It's just because he's got, like I said, he fought in the featherweight division when that was the best division in boxing and beat everybody. And now, 15 years later, he's still doing it against the best welterweights in the world. I mean, that's incredible.
It is.
Right? Like, so, even though, like, I think Pernell Whitaker beats him 120 to 108 and embarrasses him, his career is better than Pernell Whitaker's. Like, I don't think he puts one hand on Pernell Whitaker in 12 rounds. Seriously, I really think that.
I can see why. I can see why you think that.
But that's all. I mean, it's tough to compare guys to different eras, right? Steve Kerr had a comment, right? They asked Steve Kerr what team was better. He played on the Bulls team that won 72 and 10, and they asked him what team was better, the Warriors or the Bulls team that he played on. And he said sarcastically, oh, obviously the Bulls. And the Lakers team from the 80s would have smoked them, and the Celtics team from the 50s would have smoked all of them. It's amazing how the progression of the athlete works in reverse, right? Like, obviously the Warriors are better, right? Like, obviously that team is better than any other team because that's how athletes progress, right? Like, look at the size of middleweights and the speed of middleweights today compared to 180, 175, 160 pounders 2 generations ago. These guys are far superior athletes, right? Like, it's just, I don't see how those guys mess with guys like from today. But and really, boxing's the only sport that we do this, right? Like, we wouldn't have a conversation about baseball and say, hey, Sandy Koufax or A-Rod, who you got? Right? You just assume that A-Rod would hit, would take him deep because, athletes progress over time. So, yeah, I mean, you just putting in just their resumes, right? And you kind of not look at the time span and the progression of the athletes, just who has the best names on their resume. Pacquiao might be top 10. He's for sure top 20.
I probably agree with that. He probably falls somewhere with me in that range as well.
And then you start having that conversation. Where does he rank at great southpaw fighters of all time?
High. Very high.
Like real high. Again, do you rank him all time ahead of Pernell Whitaker?
No, I don't. Though I do see people I really respect on boxing Twitter, so to speak, say that he has surpassed Purnell now. He's definitely surpassed him in terms of like you've said, wins, accomplishments. But if I were to pit them against each other, prime versus prime, I'm picking Purnell.
Yeah, that's right. I don't even think it's competitive. Like, I think a guy like at 140, a volume puncher like Aaron Pryor would probably beat Pacquiao. Like, Pacquiao was great. I just think he was always a little bit overrated because he got a lot of spectacular knockouts. Those guys, and he was in a lot of wars. You know, he was in great fights, right? Like a guy like Pernell Whitaker, you know, would just make you miss, and then flurry a few times and win every round and make you look bad. You know, his fights outside of hardcore weren't particularly entertaining, right? Like, we're talking about, you know, Caleb Plant versus Canelo. Like, give me that fight. That is a great fight. I don't know if that fight is entertaining to the casual fan.
Yes.
Like, it's going to be a test match with adjustments and counter adjustments, and they're like, I'm going to love it. You're going to love it. I don't know if the casual is going to appreciate what he sees. Yeah, and that's what you had with Pernell Whitaker. Like, Pernell Whitaker was that guy. Like, every fight fan can go back in time and say, that's the guy that made me love boxing. Like, for me, that was Pernell Whitaker. Like, I saw that guy, and I was like, you may never see that again. I don't think you ever have. Like, man, he would drop his hands and basically, like, go down to his knees and he did it to prime De La Hoya when he was over the hill and on drugs. Like, he dropped his hands and embarrassed De La Hoya. Made him miss.
I've seen the fight.
With his hands down. It's like, I mean, he's the best defensive fighter I've ever seen, for sure. Like, and that includes Floyd.
But see, like, the funny part, like, it's the same thing with Floyd. Like, Floyd has like way better wins, way better accolades.
Seconds.
But pit them against each other, I'm probably picking Purnell. You know, prime versus prime. It's that maybe 130, 135 Floyd. 135 Floyd was something,
Floyd was
man.
Real good at 130.
He had power.
Like,
he had power
Floyd
then.
Yeah. Floyd was real good at 130. That's all I wanted to say. I want to get to Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao.
Of course.
Now that
60
Thurman
seconds.
doesn't have a belt anymore and he lost, I really don't dislike him anymore. Like, I don't really care about, like, all of that ill will and anger I had towards Keith Thurman. It's kind of gone now. Like, it really is. He went in.
He had a good performance, Gary.
What was that?
Do you feel he had a good performance?
See, I thought he was going to do better early. Yeah, for sure, it was a good performance. It was better than a Lopez performance, that's for sure. And he showed because I had him losing the first 4 rounds, and then the 5th round I had even. So after 5 rounds, I had him down 5 points. I thought at that point he was going to pack it up. From that point
10 seconds.
Right? 6th round on, he won more rounds than he lost. Like, it was a good performance. Like, a lot of people would have just quit at that point. Like, I'm fighting a legend who's beating me every round. There's not much I can do. Especially with Thurman's athleticism. Thurman could have got on his bicycle and just survived the fight, right? He didn't do that. Like, he went in and he was like, I might be down 5 rounds to none. I need to step it up. And he did that. And he made the fight competitive. He won on some scorecards. How many rounds did you give Thurman over the first 4 or 5 rounds?
Quickly, before I jump to that, Fat Apple saying, come on, Matt, Prime Manny moved boxing to a new era, blah, blah. Prime Manny, first off, lost to Eric Morales. Secondly, struggled with Juan Manuel Marquez. Yeah, I'm picking Pernell Whitaker to beat Manny Pacquiao, even a prime version. Sorry, guys. Digressing to your point, what did I score it? I just closed out my scorecard. I'll bring it back up. In the first 4 rounds, I gave the 3rd round to Thurman, but that round's a swing round, so that could easily go Pacquiao, and you have the first 4 all to Pacquiao. I have no issues with that.
So even on your scorecard, you had him down big because you had a 2-point round in the first. So you had him down big after 4 or 5 rounds, and then you had him winning. Right. So I mean, you really had him dominant on your scorecard. You had him dominating the second half of the fight, which I thought showed a lot of moxie. right? Because I thought at that point he was, I'm going to take my $10 million or whatever I'm going to make for this fight, and I'm going to go to China, and I'm just gonna run the clock out, so to speak. And he did. He did the exact opposite. So I got every ill will I've ever had towards Keith Thurman, I don't really have anymore. And I kind of think if they had a rematch, I kind of think Thurman would win. I think Thurman figured something out, and I think if they fought again, say a year from now, Pacquiao would be a year older, and Thurman is still in his prime. So
quickly, Gary, my scorecard is exactly round. And Rob, I know it's late over there. Rob, if you want to exit out at any time, you can. Call 13 round of boxing and Fat Apples. You both coming after me for picking Pernell to beat Manny. Call in. Rob may leave, but I'll stay here and take all of you guys' calls if you want. Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. It's open. International callers, call in. I want that work. Okay, but Gary, back to you. My scorecard was I gave Thurman the third round, which was a swing round. Round 5 was a swing round as well. I gave Pacquiao that round upon my second watch. And then I gave Thurman round 6 through 9. And rounds 8 and 6 are swing rounds as well. Pacquiao won the 10th, obviously. That's when he hurt him to the body. And then I gave Thurman round 11 and 12.
yeah, so you had him from the 6th round on. You had him winning all but 2 rounds there.
All but one.
Is that right?
All but one.
All but one.
Yep.
And a fight that most people thought he was dead in the water.
Yep.
You know, I respect that. I really do, especially against a guy like Pacquiao, where it's like, you know what, this guy's just better than me. I'm just gonna he could have showed up like Claudio did, right? Like remember when Claudio fought, he was like, this guy's really good. I'm just gonna show up now and get my paycheck. Keith Thurman could have done that and not taken the punishment. He could have gotten his bicycle and just stayed away and ran out the clock and lost every round, but he didn't. And I respect that. The last thing I wanted to say was on both FA and Teofimo. I think they both look good, especially Teofimo, right? Because everyone's giving him a hard time, like he was exposed this and that. That guy Nakatani, and I had to see him again. But do you think he can be an elite level lightweight? Assuming he can stay at that weight with his size and reach?
Yeah, but he's going to take some L's. He's definitely going to take some L's. But I think he's going to be a perennial top guy, for sure.
Yeah, that's a tricky guy. Like he was slow, and I think if Teofimo Lopez fought him again, he would counter him a lot better and he would time him a lot better. I think he could get in there, but like that's a tricky guy. Like he's a pretty good fighter. And it was a guy that pushed Teofimo. Like just because Teofimo didn't score a sensational knockout like he has been, doesn't mean he didn't fight good, right? Like I agree, he didn't look good in the later rounds, and he's got to work on his cardio. First time he ever won more than 7, I think. Like it's the first time he's ever been deep in a fight. And he's 21 years old? Like for him, like that's really good. Like I know it's not a spectacular, sensational highlight reel knockout that we've been accustomed to with him, but I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was tested, and he answered every question against a fighter who I think is pretty good, or at least really tricky.
Gary, you going to Hooker Ramirez this weekend?
Of course, I'm going to Hooker Ramirez this weekend.
Nice.
And then I got Virgil Ortiz a couple weeks from now.
Oh, that's right.
In Grand Prairie, and if anyone's in San Antonio, Selena Barrio is fighting on a card in San Antonio. It's having a card in San Antonio on August 3rd. If any of your listeners are in the San Antonio area.
That one guy is very happy now. Yeah.
Yeah. I got fights every week. And then FA, like I thought FA's performance was fine. I just don't think FA's as good as everyone else does. But like his power is really good, and he's big and strong. But isn't he really, really basic to you?
Yeah, of course he is. But like a lot of heavyweight guys are basic, bro. Like, come on. Like that's not a being basic's not an issue necessarily in the heavyweight division. It's like he is slow. That's his issue.
he's powerful and strong. He's fundamentally good. Like Ronnie Shields told him the fundamentals. He's fundamentally sound. He's just got a ton of flaws. He's slow. Like I don't see outside of the power. I don't see anything that special about him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to set the world on fire just yet.
Okay, because it was kind of seemed like that's what he was being hyped for. Like he was
was.
Great guy in the heavyweight.
He definitely was.
I don't really.
I wouldn't say he was the next great guy in the heavyweight division. No. I think maybe like PBC did a very excellent job of promoting him and marketing him on social media. However, in the boxing community, come on, man, like guys like Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman are far more talked about in the last year and a half for being the next contender coming from the young prospect ranks. It was those two guys. It wasn't F.A. I don't think it ever was.
Yeah. Dubois, like we just went to what Dubois did to Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
He's way better than F.A. I know he's. Well, no. I mean, how many fights has Dubois had?
Rob?
13, 14. He hasn't had that many more fights.
Not that many.
F.A.
I think it's like 10, right? 10, 11.
Probably around that.
Is that 10, 11? Okay, so he's had about the same amount of fights as F.A.
Mm-hmm.
He's light years better than F.A. And I'm not hating on F.A. I don't see anything.
He's 12-0. Dubois is 12-0.
And what is Dubois? 21, 22? He's really, really young, especially for a heavyweight.
21.
21.
Yep.
I mean, there's your future guy in the heavyweight division, not F.A.
Yeah, I've been on the Dubois hype train for a while now. Rob hasn't. He just joined.
I picked Gorman to beat him. I thought he was too slow, and I didn't know his jab was as good as it was. Like I thought Gorman was going to be cautious and beat him. Nothing spectacular. I just looked Gorman could outbox him. He got destroyed. He got killed. Like I'm all in on Dubois. That guy's good.
Yeah. He is.
That's all I got.
Thank you for the call, Gary. Always appreciate it.
Yep.
Catch you later, Gary.
Well, guys, that's going to be it for today. Gonna head out of here. Have a good one. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob?
Yeah, you can Rob MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Head over to the channel. Check out my lame attempts of getting interviews, apparently. Just everyone in the chat, the usuals, some new ones, I think. But yeah, thanks for being here. Like Matt said, hit that thumbs up, share the show, go and listen to it on iTunes and leave a review. I don't know if we've had any of them ever or recently or whatever, but
I haven't checked in a long time.
I
haven't checked in a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, Gary, if you're going to the fight, maybe you want to take a video camera and, Matt might be able to bump you up.
He's not listening. He's not listening anymore. He left.
Oh, well, that's a bit boring of him. Imagine Gary asking Eddie questions and stuff. That'd be great. But yeah, catch you on the next one.
Peace.